Hello, folks. Welcome to my 100-year-old subterranean refuge here. Uh, this afternoon, we're going to tie a stonefly imitation. This is an insect that in my area appears on area streams beginning early in March and until about through the first third of April, I would say. That can vary a little bit on the year and climate conditions and so on and so forth. Latitude, I imagine, has something to do with it. This fly, by the way, before I get any further into it, I should say, is a variation on a fly that my friend RK2 developed a few years ago. Uh, it's a straightforward and simple fly. What we have here is a size 14 dry fly hook. I'm using a Firehole 419 in size 14. A TMCO 114 would work as well. The thread for this fly is uni-thread in 6/0. The the uh, the body material is fettuccine foam that I modify by tapering it. It's a square cut foam to begin with, and you could use sheet foam and cut it yourself and so on, but fettuccine foam just speeds things up a lot. You shape it by means of flame treating it, let's say. By the way, having this style of handle is far superior to your flick your bic type lighter, because you'll burn your thumb with the short one. But essentially what you do is just expose it to a little bit of heat until gradually, by the way, and several times over to get it to taper, and then you're done there. The winging material is deer hair. In this case, I'm using X-Caddis hair from Blue Ribbon Flies in West Yellowstone, Montana. And my hackle, in my instance, is called Dark Champagne. It's a neck that I've had for years. I think that dun might work even better, but I don't have dun. Grizzly would work if you don't have either of those. It's also important not to get your hackle terribly oversized. This is, I hope, around the size 15 hackle on a size 14 hook. The natural creatures are interesting animals. They look bigger than they really are on the water to the naked eye. Because they flutter and skitter a lot. Stoneflies have four wings, and they're clumsy flyers, so they can make this all look quite large. But they're really very delicate when you get one in hand. That's why this wing is really tight, more sparsely than you would be, say, in for an elk hair caddis. With that, I've been promising that I'm going to improve my production values. I hope this turns out this way. We're going to stop the filming here. I'll switch to a different camera setup, and we'll hybridize this, and I hope you folks find something useful in it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Here's a finished winter stonefly in the vise. Let's get a fresh hook in the vise and tie another one. The hook is a Firehole Outdoors 419 in size 14. It's their standard dry fly hook. If you prefer TMCO hooks, a 100 would do as well in size 14 again, or Daiichi, I'm sure, has a terrific hook for this. I think their dry fly hook is an 1100. We'll start our 6/0 uni-thread near the head of the fly. Wind all the way to cover the shank. This is partly to dull the shank, and partly to provide a base for our foam body. The foam tends to want to migrate around the hook in these flies, and it's best to create something toothy for the foam to grip. Well, a little bit of cyanoacrylate glue never hurt anything either. This happens to be super weld. Here's our tapered body that we burned to a close to a point previously. We'll get that situated atop the hook, just longer than the hook bend, or just reaches just past the hook bend. Get a few wraps on there. Keep it centered atop the shank. Trim off our excess. Get that bound down well. It's a very simple fly. There are not many parts to it. It's a functional fly, however. Now we've got our deer hair that we've previously stacked and cleaned. The wing on this fly should be fairly sparse, certainly more sparse than on an equivalent elk-hair caddis or something like that. I've got far too much hair there, so we'll farm some of that out, create a little more delicate wing. The insects flutter across the water and make themselves look big somehow, but they're actually a fairly delicate creature. The wing should extend just past the body, so we'll get a measurement there and trim away our excess length. Set that atop the hook. Get a good pinch wrap going. Pinch that down, come forward through it. Make sure we get it all covered up well. Get any wild stuff out of there. Don't be afraid to get a little bit of a thread buildup in here. You want it nice and flat for one thing, and for another, that should be I guess that represents the head of the insect. If you haven't quite got the symmetry that you want, you can get rid of a few hairs that are down and troubling you here. We'll do that. We'll tidy that up a little bit. And we have another wild one over here. We'll get our hackle tied in. A hackle, this is dark champagne, a neck I've had for years. It could as well be grizzly or dun would work as well too, I think. And we're going to tie this in so that the dull side is forward. And then we'll get a hackle pliers on there and wind away. If anybody can tell me what they like in the way of hackle pliers, I would certainly appreciate it, because mine have been giving me trouble all day long. We'll see if we can't finally get this one to work correctly here. I caution that the hackles shouldn't be too large, but by the same token, you want fairly dense turns. You want flotation. These creatures, the real creatures, skitter and dance across the stream and really make a commotion. I think that some of that has to do with ovipositing, the females laying eggs, but it also could just be their means of escaping. I'm not absolutely certain what their entire emergence cycle is like. I don't know if they crawl out along the edges of the stream and then burst out of their nymphal shucks, or if they do that in the water and then rise to the surface. Sweep these out of the way a little bit. Try to create a tidy little head here. Get our whip finish tool. A good 4 or 5 turn whip finish here. Trim our thread away. Continue our tidying up process here a little bit. I see that we've got a wild one over here. And we're kind of wrapped around under here a little bit too. We're going to clean up, just a couple more of those out of there. And there, a passable imitation of a winter stone.